webinar is now broadcasting. I guess that's on. Hello, everybody. I'm Christiane Noll, and I'm going to want to know how to do the Q&A. No open questions. I'll move that over to the side. I'm going to talk a little bit. I want to do a little back and forth and address any questions that you guys might have. This was called Acting Through Song. And let's see, how can I go through this? I started out as a singer in my brain anyway. My mom was an opera singer, my dad was a conductor, and I used to just sing. And I think, as we all do, we have our favorite people and favorite performances and favorite cast recordings. And so I would always, mine at the time when I was little when I was younger, were Chorus Line and obviously Annie and 42nd Street. And I would know them and I guess a revival of Oklahoma and a revival of West Side Story and the Magic Show. And I learned them inside and out and all of the performances. And I knew how those people did all of those songs. And later on, when it came time to sort of sing on my own, I found myself, as we all do, kind of copying what you had heard. And I realized that that's ultimately a great way in, because we love it, but it's taken years and years and years to go, no, that's somebody else's performance. And what do these words mean to me? And what are the people why do I respond to the people that I do? So I started realizing that everybody was making it their own. And I will never forget, he was an opera singer of all people, Cheryl Mills, who's this amazing baritone. And he sang Maria in some gala, because my parents were always watching opera stuff. And I just dropped. I couldn't believe it, because here was this big opera singer who's used to making big noises. But he sang that song and those lyrics, and it made you just wonder what he was going to do next. The music and the phrasing completely fed into the lyric and the song and what he was trying to tell and the story that was going on. And that is ultimately, I think, what we want to accomplish. And you can do it with anything. I've been working with these students that perform in a chorus, and they are singing when they sing their songs and they sing their lyrics and it's all kind of dead. And their choral director said, is there anything you can do to, liven them up? And so we've been playing around, as I would if I were teaching back and forth and doing sort of a master class, which maybe we can arrange at some point, or one-on-one. I do those as well. But even what seems to be, the another language. I mean, they're singing syllables. They're not singing ideas and thoughts and anything that they're not taking it into themselves and then sort of chewing it up and then spitting it out as it's coming out of their mouth. And they're already starting to realize that it's easier to sing. It's more fun to sing when you care about what you're singing. And it's more engaging for the audience, as it was like, oh, that's nice. Those are some pretty sounds. That's great. Versus the leaning in. So that's what we want to do, is we want to create the leaning in. And I remember I've watched a bunch of different master classes, but I loved when Rob McClure would work with people. And there it is, teaching seminar today. Yeah, 5 minutes ago it started. Rob McClure would, challenge his students to surprise himself with what was going to come out next. So if you have a patter song, or he's really good at it. Andrew Barth Feldman, who I remember watching when he was in the Jimmy Awards and then got to see him up close and personal in Dear Evan Hansen. He's tremendous at it. such a keen mind, both of them, and so creative and so just ready and willing and able to dart from one place to another. And the difference is, rather than just sitting there and going, you know, uh, oh, over there, I see a light bulb and that makes me think of her. And then, but then you go, oh, wait, what does that light bulb do? You start having little thoughts about everything. Um, and you move from moment to moment to moment. Acting through song, it's all in the lyric, it's all in the music. Um, Take Back to Before. So at the beginning we have do 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 do, and we've had a scene that leaves her and her husband leaves. She's gonna stay in from ragtime, and she's sort of sitting there, having spoken her mind for the first time to him, and he leaves, and she's sort of sitting there, and the introduction goes do 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 do, which, and I always challenge, well, what does that mean? What is that saying? What are those do 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 saying? And I always thought that was her kind of taking a breath, because why doesn't she just start? Why doesn't she just jump right on in? And if she does start, how does she start? She starts in a there was a time, and she's sort of thinking about what is going on. Her happiness seemed never ending, and it's sort of, you go taking stock and going, and you go one step at a time. And that sort of sets the pace. Now, it could, when she doesn't open up until she's earned it. She kind of stays put. I was so sure that where we were headed was right. And now it'd be very easy to go, there was a time our happiness seemed never ending. And I know I'm thinking about, oh, I'm unsure, I'm uncertain, I don't know, I'm not, and that's all kind of general. But if you actually sit and I look at him in the context of the show, it's great because he's just left the stage, so I can look at him. But if I'm singing this someplace else, I still have to picture him, and I have to picture, the notion. If I was singing it out of context, there was a time, well, there, when our happiness seemed never ending. Imagine that. What could we possibly be talking about? It could be anything. Right now, there was a time when I could leave my house when I wanted to. There was a time when I could go to the theater and I could sing, in front of a lot of wonderful people. There was a time when everything was different. And I thought it was great. And I never would have imagined that here it would be. All of a sudden, there was a time our happiness seemed never ending, is informed with something. It means something to me at this very moment. Our happiness, so I could sit there and actually sing, there was a time our happiness seemed never ending. And what do I think about that? I was so sure that where we were headed was right. And is that a good thing? Do I think that's a good thing? You're always sort of zigzagging back and forth, because as a person, we don't just sort of vomit out words. Sometimes we're always having like 3 or 4 conversations in our head. At least I am, as I'm sitting here going, oh, I'm talking and I'm wondering, there's 26 people out there and I'm hoping that they're understanding what I'm saying. And let's see, nobody's saying anything yet. But are they listening to what I'm doing? Are they appreciating anything I'm saying? I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm still, so all that's going on while I have to focus on the what's at hand. Okay, so back to the story. There was the time I was seen never ending. I was so sure that wherever head is right. Oh, so then what? Life was a road. And this was something that Lynn Ahrens used to get on me all the time, because when I started, I did Jekyll and Hyde, and Frank Wildhorn loved back phrasing. I could back phrase to Cleveland and he would be thrilled. He wanted me to create whatever kind of phrasing I wanted to. He didn't write it out so specifically. He wanted it to come out of me and how those words and that text meant to me, so I could shape it the way I wanted to. But some uh, uh, composers and lyricists, Dear Evan Hansen is a perfect example of that. They will write, Next to Normal is also, that happens. They will write and dictate the very specific rhythms, exactly how they want it to be. The eighth pickup is an eighth pickup. Well, why is it an eighth instead of a quarter note? So why is it short instead of a long? Why is there a rest there instead of it being held through? So then what is back phrasing? Oh, back phrasing. If here is a beat and we go, if I were going to sing In His Eyes, in his eyes I can see where my heart longs to be. That's sitting right on there. If I was back phrasing, it would be this. In his eyes I can see where my heart longs to be. You see how there's a little bit more going on. So it's a little behind the beat. And if you're used to reading exactly what's on the page, oh, thank you. Yes. Do you understand? You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're used to reading exactly what's on the page, that can be a little bit confusing. If I've sung with a conductor in an orchestra and he's used to making sure that the orchestra is falling and I'm not singing at all what's on the page, they're like trying to slow the orchestra down. It's like, no, you guys are the metronome and I'm going to play with this all over the place. And I think that's more of a pop music sort of thing. That's why Dear Evan Hansen and Next to Normal are not like that, but they sound like that. They have a pocket and then it's so super precise. So when we have, let's see, like, I can't, what was it? Another masterful attempt ends with disaster. Pour another cup of coffee and watch it all crash and burn. You see, like I'm doing a little doop, doop, doop. It's a puzzle, it's a maze, but the whole idea, what does that mean? That's the steady beat. That's for me, that's her rushing. She's had her coffee and now her heartbeat is just going to town. Pour another cup of coffee and watch it all crash and burn. It's a puzzle, it's a maze. I try to steer through it a million ways, but each day's another wrong turn. Do I have a preference? I will say that the self-indulgent side of me certainly loves the freedom to kind of make it my own. But that's really me being self-indulgent. But when you have a very specific, really specific rhythmic pattern of where everything is written out, it can be, at first you think, oh my gosh, how confining, how do I get to express anything? But then you realize within that framework, there's a lot of different colors and things, and it actually tells you everything you need to know as long as you decide what it means. So if she's hypercaffeinated and she's going, does anybody have a map? Anybody maybe happen to know how the hell to do this? It's, I don't know when I don't, as opposed, anybody have a nap? Anybody maybe happen to know how the hell to do that? I don't even know how I would do that. Like it doesn't suit, there's an urgency. The whole show kind of has an urgency of trying to hold all of it together. That's where, we're acting through song. where we could sit and have a conversation, and next thing you know, we're singing and you didn't even notice that anything was any different, which is half the battle. I think that's exactly what we want to have happen, so that the conversations just keep occurring and the music supports that. They always say, when you can't speak anymore, the emotions start going and all of your juices start flowing. And when you can't get those nice things to say anymore, then what do? We sing. And in musical theater, if you can't sing anymore, then what do? We dance. Unless you don't want to, we're not going to dance. Um, so yeah, that's what back phrasing is, and the difference between the two. So getting back to before, it's a sort of a good way to sort of think through it. So you're so welcome, Ella. There was a time our happiness seemed never ending. I was so sure that where we're heading was right. Life was, so what did Lynn used to want me to do? The lyric is, life was a road so certain and straight and unbending. So if I'm singing, life was a road so certain and straight and unbending, what is that? Does that kind of support what it is I'm saying? No. What we're saying is, life was a road so certain and straight and unbending. Our little road, it's unbending. It's right on the beat. So our little road with never a crossroad in sight. Now, crossroad. I always wondered, does that mean coming to a crossroad where we have a chance to make a turn? We have a chance to go a different direction. It was certain and straight and unbending. We're not going to make any turns. We know exactly where we're going. Or could it also mean with never a crossroad, as in angry? I always thought, there's kind of a double meaning there. Never a crossroad in sight. Yeah, it could be, it probably means we're not going to make any turns, but it also means we're not going to say an unkind word to each other. We're just going to be respectful. That also feeds exactly where she's been and where they find themselves not anymore, which is the whole point. That's why she's singing. All of this used to happen. It's not happening anymore. Now it's something else. So never a crossroad in sight. There was a time, and straight and unbending, our little road with never a crossroad in sight. Back in the days, so then she says, when we spoke in civilized voices. What does she think of civilized? What does she think of that? Is it funny? Is it comforting? Is it tiresome? Is it distasteful? Is it old shoes? It could be any of those things, but you got to pick one. Back in the day, women in white and sturdy young men at the oar. Okay, women in white. She's the one in white, always laced up, and he was always sturdy, strong. But there's something like a picture is distant. They were not, there was no passion, there was no heart. It was all very clean and neat and precise. Back in the days when we spoke in civilized, even the word civilized, what can you do with those consonants? Ooh, that's something that's awesome. If you're given a word like civilized, civilized voices, if she's a little upset with herself, that she would say, you can use that civilized voice, like it was. So maybe it is that. Civilized voices, women in white and sturdy young men at the oar. And it gets a little louder. Why does it get louder? Why does it get louder? Because now something is building up. She's getting an idea. Sturdy young men at the oar. And then what did she say? Back in the days when I let you make. There's that consonant. Use those consonants to do something. Make all my choices. Brum. Idea. There's a chord. Brum. All up until this time, it's been just kind of moving along, following her. But now, brum. What's the idea? It's never going to be like that anymore. We can never go back to before. Now it's the first time she's saying it, and we have a lot of times to say it in this song. So you don't want to say it over and over and over again the same way, but this first time is sort of trying it out. I have an idea. It's never going to be the same. It's going to be different now. We can never, as opposed to, we can never go back to be. No, that's the end of the song when she's feeling strong or she's making a thought. Just an idea. So if you look I imagine it's mezzo piano. So, but you come to that conclusion. Why is it medium soft? It's thoughtful. It's contemplative. We can never go back to before. Now, here's something that I remember my voice teacher, when we were doing this, she taught me when we were working on, when I was working on Glitter and Be Gay from Candide. And she taught me a way to sing that so that I could sing it with any orchestra conductor, and how to do the pickups and how to do, when you're holding, because if you hold that note out, the band is stopping, and then they have to sort of figure out what the tempo is coming back in. So I would go with Back to Before. Choices, we can never go back. And then once we go to before, so I do before, I kind of give them what the tempo is, so they know exactly where as opposed to be, and then we're not sure what the next tempo is, but never go back to before. Now listen to that. Now we got movement. Something's going, as opposed to do-ba-do-do-do, thoughtful. Do-do-boo-do-do, breath. Okay, different. Yeah, different. So now we're moving a little bit, and we have the same figure. There was a time, same idea, but now, I got a little juices flowing, got some juices happening. There was a time my feet were so solidly planted. So I'm sitting there. I don't want to be sitting there. And I look back to where my husband was. Now that's the cool thing. If you're singing about people, you have to just, like, anytime you're singing any song, who are you singing to? Are you singing to the universe? Are you singing to your reflection in the mirror? Are you singing to your best friend or a parent? Are you singing to a complete stranger? Thank you for presenting this webinar tonight, Christiane. Are you referring to subtext when you mention the different thoughts that pop up? And Mother said, subtext, I guess, but I would say more choices. I'm making choices. Yes, I guess it's subtext, because those are secrets that you don't necessarily know. I have a secret and you don't know what's going on. But if you make have a thought, you have a line, the reason that I'm speaking, the reason I am saying like even that you ask, are these your subtext? Subtext is a technical term. What do you feel about what you're saying? Why are you choosing these words? These words have to come out of your mouth, not because they're written on the page. You know, same reason you're holding out a long note. Why are you holding out a long note? Why is it long? Why don't you just sing it short? What is the emotion behind that? What is the choice and the thought? What is leading you to do that? You know, why do we go like the idea, when I let you make all my choices? Why didn't I just go choices? Why didn't I just do that? I tend to think if you're holding it out, maybe that's like, oh, I did that. I never spoke up for myself. So I guess, is that subtext? Yeah, I guess that's what it is, but it's more specific than that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yeah. But the idea, yes, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I like to do back and forth. Me just talking into a void, oh, drives me nuts. So if people want to type more questions, more comments and thoughts to me, that will be super helpful to me, and probably a lot more interesting to you. Yeah, I have to get the hang of all of this. I think we got it. Okay, good. So who are you singing to? Thank you so much. I never thought of it that way. Making choices is so much stronger than just thinking about determining the subtext. Yeah, determining the subtext is very academic, I feel like. And some people will write full on diaries and backstories about their lives, and that's all great. But if you don't really utilize them, like, what is all of that information doing to you at this very moment? Why I say, who are you singing to? Sometimes you're singing a song that there might be someone else in the room. And when you're singing it, you are saying these lines to see how they sit in the room, how they sit in the air. I'm saying, I talk to you, I say something like this sentence, hoping that someone will nod or go, oh, and then I'll be like, oh, yeah, they got it. Okay, I can keep going. Or if I say something to somebody, if I was singing this to someone, as opposed to looking at Father as he's going, and then kind of thinking about, whoa, this is all what is going on. Where do I find myself? It's all, she is in her head, in the universe, trying to figure out what her forward path is. But if I were actually singing it to Father, it would be, there was a time our happiness seemed never ending. Oh, so then now he might look at me like, oh, we're not happy? No, you're right, we're not happy. And then I would say, oh, no, but I was so sure that where we were headed was right. So what to say? How do you get that sparkle and create a whole scene when you were standing in an empty studio or in your bedroom in front of your phone auditioning without other characters and costumes? Well, isn't that the exercise? That's the exercise. So for me, I use my imagination and I put that person there. So if I'm singing to Father, Father will always be there, because I know eventually I have to find my core and myself, and that is going to be straightforward. But if I have a thought or a remembrance of Father, anytime I think of Father, he's over there. And this is actually what I did. I put him somewhere. I saw him. I saw what he wore. I saw his expression. I saw him, how he might react to every little thing that I was saying. And I saw and I felt what that reaction did to me, because, like you say, they're not there to give that to me. So I have to give it to myself. I have to have a full on conversation with that person. And then coming up with the next verse, you'd sail away while I turn my back to the sea. And now my back is turned to the sea. Now who am I thinking of? I am thinking of Tata. Is it, he'd be over there. Father's here, Tata's there, because he's my new interest and who looks at the world in a completely different way. I was content, a princess, asleep and enchanted. If I had dreams, then I'd let you dream them for me. Back in the days when everything seemed so much clearer, women in white, oh, who knew what their lives held in store. But now I see him. Where are they now? There's something like, oh, I'm feeling stuff. How do you stay grounded and find focus with songs that are out into the universe or at yourself? I struggle with those at most. Okay. Absolutely. Well, you find when that is. So right now, this is a to yourself and to a universe song. That's exactly what this is. But I break it down and I'm thinking about who am I talking about? Who am I, because whenever we say, oh, I was out shopping today and I found a parking spot. And then I went, and I found out I had to wait in line before we went into the store. Well, how did I find out? Because a guy who was working at the door said, ma'am, you have to go stay in line. I remember what he looked like. I remember what he sounded like. I remember where he was. And I can actually picture that. And then I picture, oh, and now I'm looking at the line. I have all of those. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but that kind of groundedness comes from that kind of specificity. I don't know if people have heard that. Be specific, be specific. And it's really easy. And everybody, even if you've been doing this for 40 years, or if you've won 8 Tonys, I guarantee you that kind of specificity, when you're repeating it over and over and over again, some nights you might not be as specific anymore. It might fall into sort of a more general place. But the goal is to start at A and see how far you can get. Do I get to, sometimes you get to C. Ooh, on really good nights when things are like cooking, you might actually get to G, E, F, Q, maybe, rarely. But the idea is not to get through the whole alphabet. The idea is to say that first thing and see how that feeds you. And then you say the next thing and see how that feeds you. So when you're saying, how do you, to the universe, to yourself. So if I'm to myself, that's kind of here. And I'm, I would look at Father. And as long as I'm thinking about Father, I can look at him. But then there might be moments where I'm like, oh, I can't believe that I did this. You did this and you did all these things, but I kind of did. And then you sort of, you really have that conversation. You talk about it. If you're sitting in your room and you're brushing in your bathroom and you're brushing your teeth and you're like, why did I say that? Okay. Oh, I just went that way. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Why? So now I'm kind of asking the universe, why did I act like such a doofus? Oh no, I'm embarrassed. Oh, I can't believe it. I'm going inward. I would do something different every time, you and give yourself permission to do that when you're practicing, when you're singing a song. Don't get stuck in doing the same thing every time. That's what I was talking about at the beginning. When we learn a song, we're learning it from a recording. We're learning it from a take that is probably compiled of a lot of different versions, and somebody, the producer, picked their favorite versions and stuck them together. So that's why going to live theater is always a lot more interesting, because it's dirty, it's not clean and pretty, it's not perfect there. But there's, how many times when you go see a show and you can tell maybe that someone stumbles on a line, but it makes you wake up because you're like, oh, what's going to happen next? That's what we want to create every time we open our mouths. Not that we're going to forget our lines, although I am prone to doing that, unfortunately, and losing track of where I am. But you want to sort of constantly be living we hear that, in the moment, live in the moment. Yeah, be alive. As you mentioned, I know some actors write either a biography of their characters, they write diary entries. What would be the most important information to include in something like that? I typically focus on things like my character's strengths, weaknesses, wish, secret, and fear. But is there anything else more important that makes for the best specific acting choices? The best, I say whatever comes out of you. I always go back to the text because you can write everything, um, and have an opinion about every single person that you deal with in the play. Who are they to you? Not just that's my mother. That's the person who questions me all the time, or that's the person I go to for comfort. That's the person that makes me uncomfortable. You can get that kind of specific. Not just, okay, I'm married to that. There's father. I'm married to that man. He offers me stability, but he's a little rigid. He's very judgmental, but he's a good man. But he's a good man, but I don't necessarily agree with everything, but I respect him. But I love him, but am I passionately in love with him? Ooh, maybe that's partly what this song is about. But I do love him, and I would never leave him because he's a good man. He's doing the best he can. You write all of those kinds of things. But it still has to come, I find, from the script and from the lyrics of the songs. You read those over and over and over and over again, and you find the meanings and the thoughts in all of that stuff. This is not so much a question. In an audition, I struggle with making choices based on my intentions and intuition versus trying to show the creative team what they might want. That is doubly hard in an initial audition. The first time they are ever seeing you and you are picking your own audition material. Okay, here we go. I'm going to suggest after this is done, which is very soon. Oh, goodness, we got on a roll. How fantastic. Okay. So I want to make sure that you go look up, Google, what's his name? Oh, somebody tell me. Breaking Bad. What's the actor's name? Type it in. Breaking Bad. Oh, what's his name? There's my brain. Oh, anybody? Bryan Cranston. Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Bryan Cranston, advice to actors. It's, I think, like a minute, or maybe it's 40 seconds, or I can't remember. It's not that long. But he talks about what your job as an actor is. I watch this every few months to remind myself. Your job is not, here, I will tell you right now, show the creative team what they might want. They don't know what they want. They have no idea what they want. That's part of the problem most of the time. What your job is to take the text, pull out that song that you know inside and out, make it come out of your mouth, make it be unique. Bryan Cranston, BryanCranston. Find out what that song is coming out of you, not out of anybody else, because everybody that's on here, there are 27 people here. If we all decided we were going to sing Back to Before, everyone, if you really give the thought, say a line and see what that means to you personally, everyone's going to have a different delivery. Everyone's going to have a different moment. It's all going to come out differently. So your job as an actor is to create a character using that text, make choices, be specific, and have it come out of your voice. And do it in whether it's in the little box or in a room with fluorescent lighting. You create an atmosphere in your imagination, and that's what you present. And then you leave. And it's not anything beyond that is not up to you. So They would much rather see you be the best you can be, which is why you pick the song that you pick. It's not just because it has super high notes. If it has super high notes, great. Why are you singing the high notes? If you can sing the high notes and really deserve to sing those high notes because you know why those high notes are high and why are they long, they will get so much more enjoyment out of seeing that, because they'll be like, oh, there was, you were talking a moment ago about physical movement. I feel like I've gotten paralyzed by conflicting information. I've gotten about moving during singing, just standing, still singing, or rather feeling awkward and artificial when I try to move. Do you talk with your hands? Are you afraid to move? Sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, stillness is, is so much better than anything else. Being still and thoughtful, and that, because then you're not dodging around what is happening. You're actually letting the emotion hit you. You're letting it penetrate you and see what that means. If you have a thought, then you can deliver it. You're not hiding from it, unless you're singing a song where you're supposed to hide from it. But a lot of times when you see, if you're moving, like you say, that's distracting. It's, what is the biggest difference between TV musical acting and Broadway stage musical acting? Strangely enough, not a whole lot. Sometimes we feel like we have to perform to get to the back row and emote to get to the back row. But I learned doing Dear Evan Hansen, we were encouraged to just have the conversation with the person across from us. And dang it, even in these 3,000 seat houses, if that did not hold, it's incredible. It's really, we don't have to put on a show, even though we're doing a show. It is far more engaging. It's far more funny. It's far more heartbreaking. It's far more anything. If it means something to you, if it's coming from a place of honesty and discovery, where you are surprising yourself, you have no idea what the next word is coming out of your mouth, that it just occurs to you. It's not because now I'm saying a whole bunch of things. I've said a whole lot of stuff. It kind of to dangle the carrot in front of how I would work one-on-one and what I would charge you with figuring out, and how I would challenge you to improve. And sometimes what's so funny is, like, if you have trouble with a high note, I mean, we can change phrasing, we can work on breath, we can work on you're welcome, we can work on vowel choices to make it easier to sing. But ultimately, when you are on your story, your voice will just open up. Bryan Cranston is so incredibly talented. I saw him in Network on Broadway. Yeah, he always has fantastic advice. He does. Also, thank you for answering your questions. But acting choices, I tend to think about the relationship, my characters, thinking about each person's role in your character's life. Yep. I have just one more question related to physicalization. How do you incorporate that in characterization? Well, you start feeling whether they are, what is their posture? Are they strong? Are they, I mean, sometimes people work from the inside out, sometimes from the outside in. You put your character on like a coat and see what happens. All of it is part of it. How would you get in touch if we were interested in working one-on-one? Go to BroadwayMentorsProgram.com. Smile, smile, smile. Great. Or if you did a masterclass, all of it. It's all, you can go to BroadwayMentorsProgram.com. I imagine they will send you follow-up information. And if you want to work one-on-one, we can. If you want to do masterclass with a bunch of people, we can figure that out as well. And I am very happy to have talked to everybody. That is our 45 minutes. I think I did that. I think we're done. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope you do not mind me asking, but how can we reach out if we have any further questions?
Excuse me. This is Joy Lober Anderson, the executive director. I thought maybe I would answer a couple of questions
Great.
for you. Hi, I'm kind of leaving everybody on alert. If you go to the website, BroadwayMentorsProgram.com, and you click on one-on-one classes with Broadway stars, you can schedule. Everybody has, Christiane has her, what days are open, what times are open. And we certainly will be doing a master class, and we will contact you about that. We also have something very exciting coming up. I don't even think I told you, Christiane. We are forming, to help people out, a membership program. You can go on there. It's not quite ready, but it's going to be offering deeper discounts for everyone. And within the membership, the yearly membership, which is only going to be like $50 a year, so we're trying to be really good, you will get 10 free Q&A classes with the mentors for free. There will only be 20 people on the class. So keep your eyes on the website. And we also are going to be auditioning for a year scholarship to master classes. So that'll be free of charge. And thank you all for joining us. Anybody have any questions about reaching out to us? You can also email me, joy@BroadwayMentorsProgram.com. And I'll be happy to get back to you. And everybody, happy Thanksgiving and stay safe and well.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.